It's DEW Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this DEW Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Oh, we started off yesterday shaking the Monday morning blues with the DEW Time crew. And we talked about those unfortunate things women do that make men back away. Now, men can exaggerate and pretend like there's some things that annoy him so much. And it really only bothers him a little bit, but he needs an excuse. Well, unfortunately, there are some real things out there that men just really can't tolerate. So we had our pastor KL on yesterday, and we had Shantice on yesterday, which gave a dynamic to either side. And we talked about the fact that women overshare, and it makes men back up. And I'm like, absolutely. You just talk too much at times. You know, there was two different thought processes. There was one where women just share too much of who they are. And as Pastor KL said, they end up becoming prey, P-R-E-Y. People now know things about you, and men who are up to no good will use that against you. As innocent as it may be. You know, sometimes people just think that, you know, they just ought to share because the person that they're seeing is worthy and they are owed an explanation. No, because first of all, you don't even know if you're going that far. So therefore, if you're not going to go that far, then you just wasted a piece of information that didn't need to be shared. Well, the other perspective on that is we just talk too much. They just talk, you know, and they talk about what happened at 6 o'clock in the morning all the way up until the time that they're on the phone with you at 9 o'clock at night. And in a sense, that's oversharing. So, ladies, be careful of what you talk about. Snooping, they snoop, and men say, bye-bye, I'm getting up out of here. Well, listen, don't be nosy. Ladies, one thing that the Lord gave me quite some time ago, and I share everything the Lord gives with me pretty much with you if it's going to help you. You don't need to know everything. No, you don't. Oh, I used to say, why are you asking him that? You know, why are you in that? Oh, I just want to know. Well, that may cause you a relationship because again, it's too soon. You know, you don't have to go through his phone. You don't have to go through his social media pages. No. Give him some privacy. And yes, some men make you want to snoop because that privacy can get to you a little bit. But you know what? Let God mold him into the man that he needs to be for you. And maybe after a while, you won't even have to worry about snooping because you know what? He'll start oversharing. Oh, yeah, it can get to that point. All right. Well, what else did we talk about? Oh, they say they tell people they've met the one. Come on now. You already married in a wedding gown and all of your bridesmaids and ring bearer by month 2. No. Take your time. And you know what? I just realized that most of these things just ended with a take your time mentality. Things will grow. Things will fester. Things will manifest itself in its right time. Are we on your time or are we on God's time? That's what we have to determine. Whose timing are we on? And we all know that God's delay is not his denial. So stop pushing. You know, a lot of times what I realize is if I had that $5 15 weeks ago, you know how many times I find money? I'm rich. Trust me when I tell you, I'm rich. Where I find money stuck in things and like what, and I say to myself, you know what? God, you don't want me to find that because now I can really use it. So, you know, we talk about the unfortunate things that women do that turn men off. Well, we know that there were some unfortunate things that men do that turn women off. We know, ladies, we know. But we weren't talking about them. We're talking about you. And if you get yourself together, you keep your head on straight, you stay focused and keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. Ooh, where'd that come from? Where'd that come from? Then you won't have to worry about anything. Because God, if God has sent you the one in in true form, you're not gonna have to go through that much. No. You know, some people have this concept of I have to go through this in order, or I had to go. No, you didn't. It's what you put yourself through. That is not God's plan for your life, as Pastor KL would say. So just fall back, and then fall back again, and watch how at ease you are. You know, a lot of these things are also indicative of the fact that you're not comfortable, you're not settled, you're not at ease, and you're anxious. And the Bible tells us to be anxious for nothing, but by prayer and supplication, make your requests known to God, and he will definitely address it. And just because you don't see it right now, just make sure you're in your right place. You know, the Bible talks about the fact that if we don't move from where we're supposed to be, when God sends his blessing, we'll be exactly where we're supposed to be. I told you the Bible talks about everything. Literally everything in one shape, form, or fashion. So come on, ladies. I need you to get on the bandwagon. I need you to get comfortable with who you are, where you are in life, and you find out from God. Don't push him away regarding things that you need to be talking to God about. How about oversharing with God? Did you meet the one, the only true God? Yeah, we could turn this around. Oh, I think I just might have our church folk thing. Oh, all right. I was a little perplexed today. Well, that's how we spent our Monday. Today is Let's Talk About It Tuesday, Church Folk Day. And oh man, do we have some stuff to talk about. It's not all that great, but you know what? As I talk with the Due Time crew members, they always make something out of nothing. So I don't have all that exciting news today, but I got enough to give us some good conversation. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
In liver health every day as a doctor, and here's why. I'm a board-certified gastroenterologist, so hit that follow button for more tips like this. And it's tart cherry juice. And this juice is really unique because even as a juice, it has a really high anthocyanin and polyphenol content. In fact, it might be the most out of any juice. And gut bacteria can use this to produce anti-inflammatory compounds in the gut. So much so that it's actually being studied to see if it can help bring down inflammation in those who suffer from inflammatory gut conditions. I also drink it at night because it's a natural source of melatonin. So what I typically do is I mix about 30 to 60 milliliters in about 100 milliliters of ice water, and it tastes great. I use pure tart cherry juice made from Montmorency cherries that's not made from concentrate with no added sugar. Now remember, this is not a
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Let's Talk About It Tuesday, Church Folk Day. Now, I think I may have come up with a church folk topic, because I had some things kind of sizzling, but it's not cooked yet. So if you have a church folk question, topic, dilemma, when I sound the alarm, then you let me know. Okay, put it up in the chat room. So write it down so you don't forget. Now, I can't talk to you if I don't know you're in the room. So let me say good morning to all of you who have alerted me that you're here with me this morning. Let's say good morning. Terrence beat out Miss Ketty this morning. Hey, Terrence, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us. We have a good morning from Ketty. Hey, Ketty girl, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we've got Vivian. Hey, Viv, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us. And we got Kyra. Hey, Kyra, birthday twin. Hey, 1126 is becoming quite popular these days. Good morning. We got a good morning from our boy Serge. Hey, Serge, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us. And Pastor Vinny is funny. He's got a real good morning. Well, good morning to you, Pastor Vinny. I hope to talk to you in a little while on this side of the fence. So thank you so much for shouting us out. Lady Tamika does it all the time. She says good morning from the chat room, and then we get the chance to talk one-to-one. So we could not do anything in the morning if it weren't for the ladies that hold us down. So let's say good morning to our girl Shantice. Hey, Shantice. I don't know if we'll get to see you this morning. And our other techie who sits behind the scenes and just makes it happen for us. Hey, Anika, good morning. Thank you so much for all that you do, ladies. Well, you know how we do on Tuesday morning. We get some level of trivia going on. And today we're talking about things that we feel just cost too much. At one point, it was okay to pay for it. But now, when you see that dollar sign show up, man, I'm like, yo, that's a little too much. All right, so if, as always, you could think of something that is a little too much, but may not be on this list, you better make sure you put that in that chat room, because I'm surely interested in what you see and feel is too much. All right, I want to say good morning to Miss Grace. Hey, Miss Grace, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, all righty. What's overpriced these days? Someone says, yes. The answer is yes. I'm mostly mad at all the things that have become subscription-based, and you can't outright own some stuff. 70 years to have Microsoft Word? No, thank you. It's true. You can buy, they know that you're going to need like a Microsoft package, such as Word and PowerPoint. Yo, why you just don't partner up with these laptop people or whoever, computer people, and give it to us? Why we have to then buy this additionally? Yeah, that's enough of that. It's so expensive to be single. Living alone costs way too much, but I don't want to have a roommate for multiple practical reasons. And life would be cheaper if I had a boyfriend, she says. It really, I feel like I'm penalized for not having found love yet. Wait on the Lord. And if he has somebody for you, girl, he'll just pay them bills for you. You won't even miss a thing. $40 for pizza And he says, I don't even like pizza that much. But by the time I finish putting all the stuff together and it gets totaled, it's an extra $7 to $10. And it is so true. Shantice and I have pulled up a coupon for Domino's, and by the time we finish for the two of us, it's $40. I said, girl, we're going to leave this idea alone right now. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So make sure if you have something that you feel is just overpriced, I got something that comes to my mind and I'm waiting to see if it shows up in this list or on this list. Airbnb, they're saying, has become really expensive. They don't use it anymore. I would rather stay in a hotel and no garbage extra fees. Yeah, they got you paying like cleaning fees and a security fee, and everybody doesn't do that, by the way. Everyone does not do that. It is only certain people that will do that. And it takes your fee up to like whatever. I mean, there's a plus in a motel versus an Airbnb, because in an Airbnb you can cook and do whatever. It's more of a home feel. But if I'm going away, I may have to just pay and feel like I'm away, because sometimes these Airbnbs, way too much money. All right. Having kids. I love having kids and actually love to have at least one, but it's just not financially sustainable right now. Listen, we had a conversation about the cost of childcare. I think it was on Vivian's Socially Conscious. Man, people were paying more for their childcare than they were paying for rent. No, thank you. I'm glad my kids are grown right now, because even some of the programs that helps, like kind of support a parent to keep their child in daycare, it's not even out here anymore. And I don't know what happened to it. It was so, oh my goodness, it was such a blessing. So I don't know. The obvious for me is concert tickets. I refuse to go to a concert unless it's free, because $350 to sit in the nosebleeds while the crowd sings over the artist is way too much. I 3rd, 5th, and 10th that. A friend of mine said, here, Steph, check out some Martin Lawrence tickets. I have to watch Martin, Bad Boys, A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. Whatever Martin played in, I have to watch it on TV, because I surely couldn't afford those nosebleed tickets. I was like, to see who? No, I'll pass. I will definitely pass. My printer has been giving me the very low ink warning for at least 1.5 years right now. And it is just way too expensive to pay for ink. Well, I know a couple of people who have jumped into some program where they'll, but I think it's HP. I think it's HP, and they give you, like, if you connect with them online, wirelessly rather, it'll read how low your ink is, and you just pay like a nominal fee each month, and they'll send you ink. And I know somebody who says they send them ink and paper. I think it's like $11, and that'll be much better, because baby, them ink cartridges, they not my friend. Childcare, it came up, and the price is not necessarily relative to quality. They're quoting that somebody wanted to be paid $50 an hour. So let's say if you got your kid in daycare or childcare 5 days a week, that's expensive. Absolutely. Let me see if y'all have come up with anything. Well, I'm getting a delay here. So let's see if we can if I can jump in and see if you all have come up with some expenses. Good morning, Tamika. Hey, how are you? Oh, Kyra says food. Food is expensive. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You can go and by the time they finish swiping for a few things, you like at $50, $60. And I'm like, on what? Yes, food has gotten to be very expensive. Not only that, but healthy foods. People always say it costs too much to be healthy. Yeah. It's cheaper if I buy a bag of chips, which is expensive as well. Katie says restaurants. Yes. Yo, White Castle. You go to White Castle? It ain't what White Castle used to be. Remember we used to pay 10 cents? Okay, I know I'm talking like past step. You real old. We used to pay 10 cents. Now I know it was cheaper than that, but I wasn't born or buying at that point. We used to pay a quarter. And now the burgers are what? They have not grown. They don't taste any different. Like as in better. Yeah. To take your kids to Burger King, that's an outing. For real. What else are you saying? Sneakers. Shanti says sneakers. And she wants to know why I'll buy the black sneakers that cost me about $15. I got 3 pair. Yep. Because I can't afford the sneakers. They're like, well, get one good pair. How much am I going to pay for the one good pair that I'm never going to wear? So, and then I got to get black. So if I got to get black anyway, I might as well get the black sneakers that cost $15. I don't know. Yeah. She said, nah, Pastor Steph, don't get the $15 sneakers. I'm sorry. I just can't see putting so much money into sneakers. I can't. What else are they saying costs too much? I gave my son $5 yesterday to spend at an amusement park with his camp, and the ice cream was $10. Everything is so expensive. Listen, go to an amusement park. Outrageous. Oh my gosh. So we went to Virginia, and I think it was like $80 to go into Busch Gardens. And what's that amusement park? Six Flags. Remember they used to give you the cans and stuff like that? No more of that. And I used to go to the amusement park just to walk around. I used to like to play the games. I used to like to be in the atmosphere. No. No, thank you. And I'm not going to ride either. Come on, nobody's talking about this thing that's hitting my head. Search says cars. Yes. Man, cars are like $30,000 easily. Oh my goodness gracious. So expensive. Serge says fast food. Yes, Serge. Fast food is definitely highway robbery. Tamika says food is right. Eating out is costly. But now even going to the grocery store is ridiculous. $8 for a bag of green grapes. Nah, I'm making a garden. Yeah, it is so expensive. It is so expensive to go to the supermarket. Let's see. Houses. Yes, Vivian just got finished talking about week before last. The cost of houses are like $700,000 easily in New York City. We're not. That ain't. These homes are not worth no $700,000 plus. Sorry, not at all. Let's see. Clothes and jewelry. Do y'all see people with jewelry on these days? Not really. Ain't nobody really wearing no jewelry these days. I hardly see any chains or whatever have you. No, 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 no. I don't see no jury. So that just indicates that ain't nobody got money for food, housing, and jury. Nope. All right, what else? Shati said it's $60 admission, $40 for parking. Oh my goodness, yes, that's what she told me. $40 to park. Why? You're letting people in for $60. When I saw it, it was saying $80. So I don't know, maybe after a certain time the price drops, because some amusement parks will do that. After like 5 o'clock, the prices go down. But if I'm coming on your premises, why am I paying $40 to park? Oh, it's horrible. All right, we have a check-in from, I don't want to say this. Oh my goodness. How am I saying this? Christ alone. That's what it is. Okay. Christ alone. Good morning. Says that the houses are dilapidated. Yeah. Shati's talked about that when we were talking about the $700,000. They're not even putting any work into the homes. They're throwing up a little bit of paint. They're throwing some carpet on the floor, which is gonna cost them like $0. And then they charge you all this money. Yes, I agree. Oh, wait a minute now. Y'all getting to some stuff. Oh my goodness. She says it's $120 admission if you purchase ticket at the gate, which is Busch Gardens. Y'all still crazy. That's still a crazy amount of money. Who else is? Kyra says medicine. Child. I sent somebody for my meds. What did he say? Like $400? I guess I won't be taking that med. Yes. Or it had to be over $400. I'm like, are you kidding me? You have got to be kidding me. $400. No. I got you, Christ alone. I know what you meant. And Serge says taxes. Yes, Serge. Taxes have gone buck wild and skyrocketed. Yeah. So this is a lot. Christ alone says Chinese food used to be one of the cheapest family meals to get on a Saturday night. Now, listen, it is so true. To buy Chinese food is so expensive now. And the cartons have gotten smaller. Yes, I agree. Okay, who didn't think of streaming services? Just got a Peacock email that now when I first signed up for Peacock, it was $4.99. It's now $10.99. Why? Y'all showing me the same TV shows and the same movies. Why? Netflix, they've lost their mind. $27 a month. Yes. I'll be sitting looking at a black screen soon. Because I'm telling you, this here, outrageous. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, thank you for indulging me. And again, I think I have a topic for our church folk segment, but I may not. So I'm going to be calling out to you. Make sure you're on I got a church folk topic, question or comment or something. All righty. All right. What we got going on here? Let's see what the news is talking about. Now, wait, I got to bring this up first. Considering that someone said, we talked about what was expensive or overly priced, and Christ alone said it's dilapidated. Well, there's a woman who lives in New York City, and she pays, I want to make sure I say this right, $2,400 for rent in New York City. I think she lives in Manhattan. Yeah. She says she has a studio apartment for $2,400. She says sometime back in July, she noticed a crack in her bathroom ceiling. And it was like a big crack. It wasn't like a little crack. She saw the crack and she called the super immediately. And she said that he said he would inspect it the next day. Well, she said when she laid down to go to sleep, she said the ceiling just fell apart. All of a sudden, the ceiling was just big old hole gaping. She said she jumped up because there were pieces of the ceiling everywhere. Of course, she said there was some water. But guess what else there was? Cockroaches. In her $2,400 studio walls, there were cockroaches. She said she jumped up. She jumped up on the furniture. She was like, I can't do this. I'm not staying here. So she went and rented a hotel room. And this is why I found this article really interesting. So she says she had lived in the apartment for 3 years and she had never had a problem before, right? So she said she immediately called the super again and told him what was going on. She said that the landlord was extremely helpful. Now check this part out. She said that between the landlord and her insurance, her apartment renters insurance, they chipped in and got everything done. Did I just say she was paying $2,400 in rent? Why would my renter's insurance have to come help you clean up? Now, I could see if the renter's insurance covered anything that was damaged. But she says here in a couple of times, oh, I'm so glad that my renter's insurance kicked in because they helped clean up. So she wouldn't move back into the apartment until they cleaned up. But she said that she made sure that it was thoroughly clean. She wanted them to bleach everything down. Shantice would have probably had a heart attack and died. But she's grateful for the renter's insurance. And she says she pays $17 a month for her policy. And she says renter's insurance is so important because you never know when stuff like this is going to happen. Well, I'm still lost. Because I'm sorry, what would have happened had I not had renter's insurance? I've been living with the cockroaches. What does that mean? Yo, did I say we have some stuff to talk about? Why maybe y'all can help me figure this out. Why she needed renter's insurance, like I said, not to replace or to fix anything, but to help clean up. Now, maybe that was part of the policy, but I'm sorry, you'd been cleaning that up by yourself. But maybe she says, well, you know what? I got home renters. I keep saying home renters. I got renters policy insurance, or renters insurance. So therefore, I might as well use them if it's included. All I know is you wouldn't be getting no rent. And I don't play that. I am not the one, oh, well, this smells. I ain't paying my rent. Oh, that looks too ugly. I'm not paying my rent. I don't play that. But that's a bit much for me. That's a bit much for Pastor Steph. No, I'm not doing that. They needed to fumigate, clean, bleach, whatever they needed to do, they needed to make happen. Let's see what else we're talking about here. Remember we got finished talking about the child care? So there's a man. One person said that they gave their child money, $5 to go to camp. Okay. So there's a man who's 76 years old. And it is John Rubin. And he's being charged with 3 counts of willful treatment of a child out in England. He gave the children some extremely laced candy, sedative based. And we've talked about this before, what people do to put the kids to sleep. So what happened was the children started complaining about they weren't feeling well. And they ended up, not only did the children have to go to the emergency room, there were a couple of adults that had to go to the emergency room. They say all in all, 9 people have been discharged from the hospital. Thank God nobody was like gravely ill or passed away. But what are you doing? What are you doing? Just don't take the job. Don't take the job. So you going from trying to work to trying to kill the kids? I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I don't understand. He went to court. He pled guilty. And now he's waiting, I guess, for sentencing. Yeah, they say that quite a few of the children were affected. Wow. This is something else. You know, it's gotten to the point, I used to tell people don't take candy from strangers. You can't even take candy from people you know. Yes. And I used to love Altoids. And I used to like the little small can because the big can has pork in it, y'all. But the little can, and I stopped buying them because I didn't like the presentation, the can. And I felt like, okay, you know what? If I'm going to help people stay away from ecstasy, remember they used to put the ecstasy in the little cans, and other drugs, then you want some Mentos? That's what you see, the long blue strip. I don't even bother, because you have to tell your children now, don't take candy from anybody. Don't take nothing from nobody. Whatever I don't send you with, do not take it. I mean, even we've done stories from children who have eaten edibles from their house. They didn't know. Edibles. They couldn't even, again, it's your house killing you. Couldn't even get out of the way of the cookies or the whatever have you they were eating, not realizing that they were eating things that were laced with marijuana. So please tell your children, do not take anything from anyone. It doesn't matter who it is. And teachers is so bad because everybody is not guilty. But no. Remember that we did the story about the teacher who brought in I know y'all gotta remember this one. Brought in the cookies or something, and the husband had ejaculated. Yes. Yep, y'all better think back. Teacher ejaculated. All right, and what else are we talking about? Let's see what else we're talking about. Oh, speaking of kids, do y'all remember that years ago we had this hand, foot, and mouth disease. It was quite a while ago. Well, they say it's on the rise again in some parts of the United States, that public health has now gotten involved because this is a highly contagious viral illness. Now, they say it's prevalent among children under 5 years old, but people of all ages can become infected. They say out in Virginia, they've published an alert of 6 people who have come up with this hand, foot, and mouth disease. They say that for them, it was affecting children 4 and under. The U.S. Virgin Islands have confirmed 189 cases of this disease out in St. Thomas. Okay. Now, they said that there was a fatal case involving a toddler. So remember, is primarily from 5 and below. They say in March that another health organization alerted people to this hand, foot, and mouth disease. And they say especially in children, due to their high vulnerability and rise of serious complications with their central nervous system. So remember, the children, their immune systems and, stuff, it's growing. It's growing. So they're very susceptible to a lot of things. So we want to make sure that you watch over your children. Here's the thing. They say that the numbers are spreading quickly to adults with unusual symptoms, including rashes that are, widespread, especially to your hands. They're on blisters. They say watch out for nail loss and be careful of how you're interacting with people now that it's the summertime, because they say it's the summertime where it really is known to take off. They're seeing more cases now that it's the summertime. Now, they're saying hand, foot, and mouth disease. It's transmitted coughing, sneezing, runny nose, kissing, sharing utensils, blister fluids, and diaper changes. Let me read that to you again. Coughing, sneezing, runny nose, kissing, sharing utensils, blister fluids, and diaper changes. So if you're changing diapers, you're going to need to make sure you use some gloves. It's just my baby. Yeah, okay. When you end up with hand, foot, and mouth disease. Now, they say people can also spread this virus after touching contaminated objects and surfaces. All right. They say mild, and it can present as something mild or blistering sores in the mouth and a rash on the hands and feet, along with fever and a sore throat. So I'll say that to you again. They say it can come up mild and it presents with blistering sores in your mouth and a rash on your hands and feet, along with fever and sore throat. So we got to pay attention, people. We got to pay attention. All right. So they say when your child has a fever, make sure you check the body from head to toe. They say if they're saying they're not feeling well, that they still need to drink. And what they're saying is a lot of the children are coming up dehydrated because of the blisters in the mouth. It makes it difficult to drink. Poor thing. So now they're dehydrated. So, of course, when you go to the emergency room, what's the first thing they do? They give you IV. So, please check your children. Please check your children. Make sure they keep their hands washed. Use hand sanitizer so we can stay away from this hand, foot, and mouth disease. All righty. Let me see what's going on here. All righty. Let's see if we got some due time crew members in the room. We actually do. We've got our Pastor Vinny. Let's say good morning to Pastor. Good morning, Pastor Vinny.
Good morning. Good morning.
Do I see two people in that room? Oh, I see two people in the room. Good morning, Pastor Brenda.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well, thank you. How are you both?
Doing well.
Doing well. Thank God.
Good. Yes. Before we get started, let me give a shout out to a couple of people who just joined us. Hey, Brenda. We got another Brenda on the line. Good morning. And happy Tuesday to you too. All right. Shati says cupcakes. Are you saying that those are too expensive, Shatis? Okay. Christ alone had it years ago. My oldest got it. My newborn, then me. Nightmare. Oh, did you get the hand, foot, and mouth disease? Christ alone? Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. I guess you can confirm how bad they say it is. She says it was a nightmare. Wow. Shati says, oh no, where's my travel size bottle alcohol? You know what? I've had to invest in being a part of the alcohol committee in this world because Shatice is buying up all the alcohol in the world. All right. Vivian says, yes, we had a really bad outbreak in my school, which is in Brooklyn. And I heard of a camp that also had an outbreak and some other daycare schools out here. Wow. Oh, Shatice went back when I was saying about the don't take things from teachers. It was the cupcakes. Yes. With a I thought it was the husband. Shati says it's the boyfriend, but he ejaculated in the cupcakes and she gave it out to the kids. And she knew. Oh. And she knew, y'all. Yes. That was the blow mind of the topic. She knew. Oh gosh. All righty. Serge says hand sanitizer is my friend. And he says, oh yeah, and Lysol. Oh my goodness. So Pastor Brenda and Pastor Vinny, we're talking about a few weeks ago, we talked about the high price of housing here in New York City, that the housing was jumping like crazy, where they're asking for $700,000 and $800,000 to buy homes here in New York. We also touched on the fact that the rent has become astronomical as well. So this particular 30-year-old lives in Manhattan. For her studio apartment, she pays $2,400. One day in July, she said she looked up, she saw a crack in the ceiling of her bathroom. She called, the super said, hey, I'm coming the next day. But before he could get there, the ceiling collapsed. Pieces were everywhere. Water, as well as cockroaches. They, of course, you don't know what's crawling in your walls, but now this is in your apartment. Now, here's the thing. She said that, yeah, the landlord jumped to help, sanitize the house and, put the ceiling back together. But she's grateful for her renter's insurance because they not only, I guess, paid for damages, which is what renter's insurance pretty much does, but they helped clean up the place. So if they had not helped clean up the place, She says, thank God for the renter's insurance, because if they had not helped clean up the place, it would not have gotten clean as quickly. Is this what we're playing renter's insurance for, Pastor Brenda and Pastor Vinny?
Yeah. You know, I've heard of renter's insurance. I mean, we never had it when we lived down here in Florida, but to hear that they're helping to clean up, that is something really special. Never heard of that. I mean, yeah, that's a special company. I would like to know the name of the company, because that's very much unheard of. I mean, I've heard of liability. You know, I've heard of them helping to, help to fix, but not to clean. And, you know, of course, the moment that cockroaches or anything would have appeared, my soul would have left my body, you know, especially after waking, if I was asleep. Oh no, that is totally unusual. I mean, I'm happy for her. I'm happy she got stuff done. You know, the prices of these apartments are just off the chart. I mean, even down here in Florida, for a small apartment, you know, it's like $1,900, but that includes parking. That includes you having access to a pool, a gym, or, you know. So, $2,400. That's mortgage money down here. That is definitely mortgage money down here. I mean, housing here has cooled off due to certain factors like, you know, insurance and people not having jobs. You know, people here, if they're paying $1,800 rent, they're living with at least 4 people, because wages down here are stagnant. So for her to be paying $2,400, yeah, I salute you. I mean, you know, it's a different area of the country, but no, renter's insurance, I've never heard of that, you know, cleaning up. Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's every
Pastor Steph, you're on mute.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I was saying, Pastor Vinny, Pastor Brenda said her soul would have left her body. What would have happened to you? Oh my gosh.
Pastor Vinny would not sleep another wink. My sleeping days would be over. Until things were back to normal.
Absolutely. All right. We're talking about this. Well, I'm frozen over here. Oh, we're talking about the lace candy, the sedative lace candy that was distributed to the children in the camp, and clearly a few of the adults got to it. 76 years old. Is there anything we have to do in life, Pastor Vinny, at 76 years old? We're lacing candy and putting the kids to sleep?
There's not enough sticks to beat this guy with. There are not enough sticks. Yeah, you. There are not enough sticks to beat this guy with. You at one point you had to worry about the cat walking on the counter when they're cooking. You know, we don't eat Brenda doesn't eat potluck stuff at work, because you don't know what's in that pot. You don't know what's walking around that pot, what's walking around in that kitchen. Now they're purposely, that's premeditated murder. Ooh, that's premeditated. You lacing candy, you cooking up a witch's brew or whatever. That's premeditated murder.
It is.
Under the jail. Under the jail. That's where they belong.
I agree. And when I looked down again and saw the 76, I got extra mad.
Wow.
In 76 years, you done got so bored you lacing candy. Yeah. Well, who does that at this age? Right. You about to be up out of here. You want to take some people with you. You sound like the devil.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going down.
Did he have grandkids of his own?
This is what I'm saying.
That is absolutely shameful. That is really shameful. That if you don't want to be with kids, don't be with kids. And then
That's what I say.
And of course the adults gonna try some because if it look good, it's like, ooh, this look good. Some of them gonna try it. Come on.
Right. So you putting everybody to sleep. Like I said, you just bored. Everybody going to sleep because, like you said, people see this. If they seeing you give it to the children, of course they're thinking it's safe.
Yeah.
Right.
Who's thinking that their co-workers planning on coming in today killing people? And who knows how long it's been going on? We've done stories here about, the food, the patches that the people in the daycare was putting on the kids to make them sleep, even to the degree where the kids were going home sleeping still. It is horrific. And I said the same thing you said. Why this is just not your field. Right. Go sweep. I was just telling somebody yesterday about the church folk who, they that's not your ministry. I'm sorry, singing is not your ministry. They sent me a video of a choir. Oh my goodness gracious. I was like, and y'all put this on YouTube? Somebody should have taken this down. Go pass out a track. Do something. Go greet the people at the door. Everything it's not for you. And if you go work feeling like you need to lace this candy, then this is no longer for you. Your heart is not in it. Go away. Go away. Oh my goodness gracious. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Pastor KL is in the house. Let's say good morning.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning, my heavenly brother. How are you today?
I'm well. How about you guys?
Good. I'm fine, thank you. I'm fine. All right. We're talking about the woman, 30 years old, who pays $2,400 in rent. And for a studio, and she once saw a crack, and then moments later, the whole ceiling caved in, and not only were there pieces of the ceiling everywhere, but cockroaches were everywhere. And her renter's insurance helped to expedite the cleanup process, where they sent someone over to help clean up the place. Is this weird to you?
Well, I know it's church folks' day, but in my former life, I'd have laid on the ground prostrate. I'd have called EMS. They'd have had to come get me. Because a shingle or some piece of plaster would have hit me. Now after you dealt with me physically, the mental anguish and the trauma that I was dealing with from the cockroaches, that's a whole nother check. So yeah, I would have been a landlord after that. I'd have been a landlord.
You know what? Oh my goodness gracious. I'm so glad he says in my former life. I'm so glad he says these things. That is not happening right now. Oh my goodness gracious. We're talking also about the 76-year-old man at the camp who is lacing the candy with sedative. And what's going on in your head that makes you go to work trying to put the kids and the teachers to sleep?
Well, I guess my first question before I answer this is he trying to kill them or just trying to put them to sleep? What
difference does it make?
Some of these children need to go to sleep. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, so I'm just trying to, I'm trying to see whether I agree with him or don't agree with him. If you try to kill him, no, I don't agree with you. But somebody, listen, how many times you tell Pookie to sit down and Pookie ain't sitting down? Now, let's just go a little further because y'all trying to be deep in God. But what about, do y'all know what melatonin is? Melatonin is on the shelf where people can buy to put these children to sleep. They realize that go to bed is not as effective as it was before. So now they give you a little melatonin, and wherever you lay down at, I just pick you up and put you in bed. That's all he was doing. So, listen, Boquita wouldn't sit down. He touching me, she touching me, stop touching me. I'm hungry. I need this. No, listen. Here's a piece of candy, baby. Here, suck it slow. Suck it slow. I'm just saying.
All right. Did I hear in my former life? Did I hear that just now?
Well, I was asking the question. Listen, sometimes they used to say in times like these we need a savior. Sometimes God gives you gives you wisdom.
Wait, sometimes God does what?
Give you wisdom.
Wisdom. Oh my Lord.
Well, you just said every ministry ain't for everybody. The kids, how Brother Al love the kids. No, that's not my ministry. That's not my ministry. Suck this candy slow.
Lord have mercy.
Kids don't take naps no more. When last time you heard a kid take a nap on purpose?
Listen.
On purpose.
Listen. No, they don't take a nap on purpose, and neither did we. But I remember my grandmother used to tell us, "Okay, it's nap time," and she always spoke very softly. She didn't talk loud, speak loud very often. She was like, "Okay, it's time for nap." And we were like, "Oh, come on, Grandma, we don't want to take a nap." She's like, "Lay down." She did not give us candy. She's like, "It's time to lay down. You gonna take this nap. You gonna take this nap." Now, why we can't get to the point where we say, "You gonna take this nap," and leave you there, opposed to trying to kill you in the process? Because see, here's the problem. You don't know who's going to make it and who's not going to make it. You're just assuming that these kids are going to go to sleep. You don't know anybody's body composition and how it will affect them. So, as much as I would like to say, yeah, I agree. These kids do not take naps. You have to literally put them to bed. Well, we didn't voluntarily take naps either. But we were told to take a nap, and we were put to sleep. So,
But see, back in those days, our parents didn't care if we cried ourselves to sleep. Right. You could stay in there all day. You ain't watching no TV. You might not want to take a nap, but you ain't getting back up. You're not coming here bothering me.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So you talk to your invisible friend. You talk to your pillow. You cried and you talked to the pillow and told the pillow, "I hate her, I hate her, I hate her, I hate her." Until I went to sleep. That was our way of counting sheep. That was our way of counting sheep. I hate a 1. I hate a 2. I hate a 3. I hate a 4. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Listen, we gotta put you. Where's Terrence? We gotta put you in classification with Shantice. There are certain things we can't bring up with Shantice. She goes straight to the moon. Pastor KL, if you start talking about that childhood, boy, that sends him straight to the moon.
I had it rough. I was a test tube baby. I had it rough.
Boy, he be feeling that thing.
I remember we spent my sister and I spent the summer in Barbados, and I guess we were driving the people crazy because I was a little older than a teenager. My sister wasn't in her double digits yet. But don't you know those people, the people that we were visiting, and that calmed me down. Hold on, Pastor Brenda.
Pastor KL, did you mute yourself? Yes, he's muted himself. Okay, because it went crazy. So all I heard was we must have been driving these people crazy. What happened after that?
And next thing I knew, they slipped us a little bit of vodka to calm us down and put us to sleep.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Found out later in life that's what it was.
Wow. How did they give it to you?
It looked like water. So they said, here, take
a shot.
Yes, it was a shot. Take a few sips of this, baby. Take a few sips, take a few sips, baby. It make you feel good. Make you feel good. Down.
Wow. Wow.
Pastor Brenda, I don't know why Pastor Steph is acting so brand new. We used to have hot toddies all the time. Mama used to give us a hot toddy. We used to go to sleep. Man, listen. Pastor Steph just wanted to be deep in God. But listen, she knew back in the day, they was putting her to sleep too. She was the child that was running around. She wasn't the bitty two-shoe. She had a couple of... Listen, you could tell Pastor Steph had a couple of swings of gin to go to bed.
Listen, you DEW Time viewers, and Pastor Vinny and Pastor Brenda, contrary to what Pastor KL was saying, I was a good child. Didn't I just tell you my grandmother used to put us down for a nap? And I wasn't the one who gave her a hard time. It was my sister and my cousin and my uncle who gave her a hard time. It wasn't Stephanie. I went to sleep because grandma said it was time to take a nap. And see, here's what Pastor KL don't know. Ain't nobody ever got to talk me to go to sleep. Yeah. I love me some sleep. I'm not that person today who says, I wish I took a nap back then. No, ma'am. I always loved to sleep. As a matter of fact, it was that same grandmother who used to ask me, girl, are you going to sleep your life away? Because I love to sleep. So that was not my problem. That was not my problem at all. Oh, my goodness. Shanti says, you were good? Then where did I get it from? I keep telling, stop pointing them fingers, girl. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. We are all born individually. All right. Thank you for indulging me on our news. Somebody just said something, and I threw out there that I had something for church folk, but I ain't interested in that. While y'all think of something else, I want to ask, because this question has come up before. Should Christian people allow their children to have invisible friends? Now, I've heard, some things as far as opinions, but I want to know what the DEW Time crew thinks. Also, listen, you are viewers out there who are Christian people. Listen, weigh in. Pastor Vinny, I'm starting with you. Should Christian people allow their children to have invisible friends?
Like they ain't got enough to contend with. You already... It's hard enough dealing with the real people. Now you're going to bring in somebody or something that don't even... They don't even exist.
Oh my goodness.
My mother said, listen, you got 8 sisters and a brother. What more you need? You got your friends for Monday, you got somebody for Tuesday, you got somebody for Thursday, you got somebody. She said, why do you think we got all these kids here? You don't need to be with nobody invisible friends. No, I think that opens the door to other issues, to problems.
Other issues or problems like what, Pastor Vinny?
Things that don't. Just leaving the reality of life. Now you got this so-called best friend, and y'all want to talk and y'all want to communicate, and it's opening the door not just to I guess spiritism or whatever they're calling it today, mystics. It's unreal. There is enough real things to deal with that you don't want to add more things that just don't make any sense.
Okay. Pastor Brenda, what's your view?
I really think that sometimes kids may develop imaginary friends because there are other things going on that they feel they can't talk to maybe an adult to or anybody else to. And this gives them an outlet to express what's going on, sadly to say, but it also, like Pastor Vinny said, can open up the door to other things that are not that great. That's a deep one, Pastor Steph, because you don't want to. There may be something else going on that these kids may not be able to put into words, verbalize, and speaking to this imaginary friend helps them to verbalize because maybe they feel they can't tell the adult. I mean, something as bad as maybe, some type of abuse that's going on and they're telling their friend about it. They can't tell the adult because maybe the adult doesn't believe them.
Right.
So, maybe the adult is doing the abusing.
Right.
So,
right.
There's just a lot to really have to dig into, but it's something that needs to be addressed ASAP.
Okay. So if you saw one of your three boys speaking to their imaginary friend, what would be the conversation?
First of all, it's like, who are you talking to? And then it's like, what's going on? What's going on? And give them a level of being comfortable, being able to talk and say, tell me what's going on. What's bothering you? But yeah, the first question is, who are you talking to?
Okay. All righty. Pastor KL, what say you?
Listen, my grandkids talk so much, I introduced them to imaginary friends.
You know what?
Because if you ask me why one more time, can I do this? What color is this? Hey, go talk to Tommy. Who's Tommy? Go in the room. He in there. He in there. You don't see Tommy sitting at the desk? Oh, yeah, I see Tommy. Hi, Tommy. Yeah, I'll be back. Yeah, I introduced them to the imaginary friend.
And he's giving them some money to
Cause see, I call him Tommy because he gonna be there all the time. Tommy ain't got no job, so Tommy gonna be there all day, every day.
Oh, goodness gracious! All right, so outside of you introducing them to Tommy, what say you about a child having an imaginary?
Well, I mean, in today's world, I think it's a little different. I mean, I had an imaginary friend and I had a sister. I'd rather talk to my imaginary friend than my sister sometimes. It's just like he understood me. He didn't say no. He agreed. He went wherever I went. You know what I mean? If I wanted to play this game, we're going to play this game. If I wanted to watch this TV show, we're going to watch, there was no conflict with an imaginary friend. But these days, you got an imaginary friend, you're going a little crazy. You got to really watch out for them. But back in the days, especially if you didn't have no siblings, who was your friend? You had a stuffed animal that was your best friend. You gave him a name. The doll had a name. You know what I mean? You couldn't bring a white doll in there. You had to bring a black doll in there because it was a sister. The sister would understand who you were. It was a whole bunch of stuff. How many times the parents would say, "Don't buy my child that white doll"? It was a lot of stuff going on back then. Now they doing everything. Teletubbies and Leo and Stitch and stuff that I don't even know about. So yeah.
So if you saw your child, what would the conversation be? What would you do?
Well, now I would ask who you talking to and what y'all talking about. See, I want to know the conversation. Depending on what the conversation is, I'd be okay. If you're just talking about Scooby-Doo, we all right. But if you talk about building a bomb, you know what I mean? If y'all having the conversations like that, where it's adulthood conversations, or y'all talking about sex, me and my imaginary friend talking about, no, it depends on what the conversation is. There's kiddie conversations, and then there's conversations that, is kind of outlandish. It's over your head. This is over my head. How many times we wanted to have this sex conversation with our child? No, that's over my head. And I had to. But I don't want to talk about it. Just don't have sex. And don't ask your imaginary friend.
Right. You don't know either.
Okay. Shanti says no invisible friends. That's how the enemy is talking to the kids. Serge says the devil is a liar. My child doesn't need an imaginary friend. I'll be their friend. All right, so Serge
don't have no kids, do he?
No.
Serge, you do not want to be a friend. You saying that because you ain't got no kids. You do not want. Listen, Serge, cut that one out. You won't be their friend for the first year because they ain't walking. But once they start walking and get into it, you gonna want to buy a friend. You gonna Uber a friend.
Again, the childhood trauma is showing. Oh my goodness. Okay. I grew up with a sister. I only had one sister, and we're like that close. And we spent all our time together, and we didn't argue. We weren't allowed to argue in our home. My father, boy, you didn't want to see him if he ever caught us arguing. So we learned how to avoid that, any conflict. But we had an imaginary friend named Francine, and Francine would sit at the table with us. And if we had dolls, Francine would get a doll. And if we were playing like eating, Francine would get a plate. I can envision this now. And I think it's almost like what everyone else has said. Back then, my mother even talked about it, prior to her passing away. She was like, Stephanie, how you and Terry had Francine and y'all had one another? And she never disturbed that. She saw it happening. She never questioned it as we were, kids. She questioned it, in her later years. And I just said, hey, it was just Francine. I don't know who came up with the name. I don't know why we felt it was the two of us, why we felt we needed a third. Maybe that was that outlet that we couldn't argue. So now I'm going to talk to somebody that I don't have to worry about, like Pastor said, arguing with. However, these days and times, I do agree that it's very important that we do talk about, who are you talking to and why? Why are you talking to them? I do agree with that. I don't agree that it's something that we should, even on a carnal level, just look at and walk off. Oh, even if it's an only child. My granddaughter, everything had to talk. Oh my God. Everything talked. Mariah had everything talking. If she played with dolls, the dolls talked. If she played with food, the food talked. If she had a doll's head combing the doll's head talked. No matter what she played with, it had to talk. She had to talk to it. And which was very different from her mother, who didn't talk at all. Shawnice did not interact. And she had two sisters, but did not interact much. She was fine with being a loner. So that's why when Shanti always says, well, where did I get it from? It doesn't necessarily mean that you got it from a parent, because we're trying to figure out why. We got to ask Mariah to stop talking. Your mama didn't talk like this, girl. Please stop talking. Sometimes children need that outlet, but it is, I agree, it is vital that we speak to them, asking them, what are you talking about and who are you talking to? Now, I do believe it's a gateway. I agree with you all who say it's a gateway, because the enemy is real cunning. And we know through any crack or crevice, that enemy is coming through. And with the world as it is, you don't want. Let me teach you how to pray. How about that? You know what? You bored? Let's play Audible Bible. Let's play the Audible Bible for you. Let's discuss a biblical story. I think there's too many ways to allow God or invite God in, opposed to that we're gonna let you talk, and you can be talking to anybody or anything. So I do agree with you all. We got to be careful, except for Pastor KL, who thinks it's fine. No, it ain't gonna be fine. It can't be fine in these days and times. Let me see. Let me go back. Shanti said, did Francine go to church with y'all? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't ever remember being in church and Francine being there. I don't remember that at all. Vivian says, I agree, Pastor KL. Christ Alone says, yes, the Martin reference. She's cracking up. And Vivian says, to this day, Mariah still does it. What does she do, Viv? What's she do, Viv? Wait. Oh, talk to, again, make sure everything talk. I think that's what Vivian is saying. Just chatterbox. It's like, can you please stop talking? Please stop talking. I need some silence in my life right now. Please stop talking. Please stop talking. I just need you to be quiet. Yeah, she talks incessantly, but she knows how to spend her time alone well. All right, so I'm going to get a little deeper. Should a Christian person allow their child to masturbate? There was a conversation that ensued quite a few years ago with a woman who was a believer, who spoke to her son, adult son, who wasn't a believer. And she asked him, how was his son, he was little at the time, the grandson, how was he managing with that phase of life where your body is doing all kinds of things, and to masturbate, you would respond by masturbating. And I don't remember what the son said, but her response was, let nature take its normal course. If he needs to masturbate, then let him. He'll grow out of it. And I want to know what you all think about it. So, Pastor Vinny again. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Vivian says yes. Mariah makes everything talk still. Shantice has her weighed in, but what do you say, Pastor Vinny?
Yeah, this was a subject that was not talked about, not in my household. With me growing up, I don't ever. Well, first of all, my father wasn't there to help me with those stages of my life, and my mom wasn't there. She was dealing with these girls, and I mean, they were hitting her left and right with what are the women's stages, the early, I mean, my mother would send me to the store, to get their
period pads.
Their pad, their
period items.
Yes. She would send me, like I was the expert, But so like I said, girls were like our family. It was like falling downstairs. Like every stair, a baby came. Every 10 of us, and so my mother didn't have a lot of time to deal with that. It kind of just was like hit or miss, I had a lot of questions, and you know, I guess I just dealt with things. I guess it was really the natural way, because I kind of figured out things for myself. Now my sons, they've never come to me, with that. I mean, this is really, I don't know, it's serious, but I've always been close to my sons, but this is something that we have never even broached as a subject. And now they're all the youngest one is 31. So whatever had to be figured out, they figured out. Yeah, it's strange. But for me it's strange, and I guess they say nature takes its course. I mean, they're not out there trying to kill anybody. They're not overly sex driven. They have a lot of friends. They deal with a lot of issues. They keep themselves busy. So I mean, I don't want to just be rambling, but it was a subject that was my mother was, if anything, my mother was strict, and what are you doing down there? What's why I'm just fixing my pants. Well, fix it somewhere else. My mom was, I love her, but she was strict as far as that. I guess she didn't want anything to pop off with all those girls around.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pastor Brenda, what do you think? Should we allow our children to masturbate as a Christian mother?
As a Christian mother, you have guidelines that you give to your kids, but we all know that our kids can go off and do things behind our back.
Absolutely.
So, explaining to them what they're, what point they're going through sexually in their own lives. I mean, it's something, and then of course you hear in various churches growing up, you hear that's bad, don't do it. But if you notice, sometimes from babies are curious about their private parts. You take off their pampers and you're like, woo, So it's something that you have to be consciously aware of. Again, having open conversations. You may not like to have it, but it's better that they find out from you than on the street, or or get into something. And then again, does this lead into the next phase where it becomes pornography, that they're watching pornography? So you really have to be honest, be open with your kids. A lot of it they're not going to understand. Their body is going through changes.
Okay. Pastor KL, what say you?
Well, I'm from the era where you didn't talk about none of that stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? You didn't even. And to be honest with you, I mean, I guess I was dumb because I didn't feel none of that stuff. I didn't. That was just a taboo. You know what I mean? So it wasn't even something that I would have wanted to question. At 13 years old, if I grabbed myself down there, at 13, my mama said, "You got a pee-pee?" You know what I mean? It was still pee-pee. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, did you have to urinate? No, it was still the baby talk. You know what I mean? So at 13 and 15, I was still pee-peeing. I wasn't even thinking about that other stuff. So I think it's just a different era. You know what I mean? We didn't have all this sex on TV, so we wasn't inspired by all the Baywatch and all, you know what I mean? Just little stuff like that. We wasn't inspired by that. They wasn't kissing on TV. They wasn't hugging on TV. So we didn't have to imagine or think about what would that be like. You know what I mean? I mean, listen, we watched Snuffleupagus until we were 40. You know what I mean? On Sesame Street. There was nothing for us to get excited about. So there was nothing for us to discuss. And at that time, my parents' age, they wasn't sitting down and having this conversation with you. It was still the birds and the bees. Now, the birds and the bees, to me, at this age, don't have nothing to do with sex. How it became the birds and the bees, I don't know. But that was the conversation. The birds, and they barely wanted to have that conversation with you. So it was difficult. They didn't say "I love you" back in those days, let alone want to talk about you making love.
So, what is the answer to the question?
I'll answer the question. No, you should not play with yourself. No. Go play with your imaginary friend. Go talk to them. Have a little talk with your imaginary friend. See what they say about it. No, don't touch yourself. You have the right to remain silent. Okay? Put your hands behind your back. How about that? Those are the conversations we are most familiar with. Okay?
Okay. All right. Let's see what the room says. The room says no masturbation. And the next comment, you allow them to start and it snowballs into something they can't control. All right, so I'm gonna answer like this. I posed the question strategically. We are all pastors here, and we talk about everyday news, everyday things people go through, and a Christian perspective on it. So I didn't ask 3 carnal people or people who are living a carnal life. I asked 3 pastors. If a parent brought a child to you and said, listen, pastor, I don't know what to do with my kid, because back in the day, we didn't talk about this thing. And back in the day, my mother didn't know how to broach the subject. And back in the day, blah, blah, blah. So therefore, I'm at the point where I don't know what to say. What are we going to say to that parent? We can't talk about what we went through back in the day, because that's not going to matter right now. I have a friend who said that when she asked her mother about sex, her mother told her go to the library and read up on it. And that was because, like you all have said, back in the day, they didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't have a Christian parent. So my non-Christian parent could only answer me on a street level. I just happened to never ask my mother. I never asked my pastor grandma either. I didn't ask because that wasn't an interest to me. I just didn't ask. However, we do have a different world now, like you all have said, and we can't handle it, the way we were handled. It can't be avoided the way it was avoided years ago. And we have to have an answer for these parents who are going through this dilemma. What do you say to a parent who is going through this, who, Christian or non-Christian, they don't know how to answer this question, and their child is masturbating, or they're getting to the point where they're masturbating? Pastor Brenda, I know exactly what you're saying, because I've changed a baby's pamper and it was erected and they were putting their hand there. So it is something that they will physically go through. However, how do we answer the question? For Stephanie, we have to go Bible. We have to go isolation. That is going to take place in an isolated arena. We can't allow our children to consistently be in an isolated arena. As I say that, I thought I just envisioned, I don't know how many of you saw it. You put it in the chat room if you saw it. On Instagram, they had a little, he had to maybe be about 8 or 9. And he's screaming because it must, I don't know if it was the dad, an uncle, but he walked in on him masturbating.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of keeping it private, he's got this camera rolling on the phone.
Wow.
And he was like, "What you doing?" And the little boy was most disturbed at being interrupted.
Mm.
So he was asking him, "Well, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And he's screaming, "Oh, get away from me, get away from me, get away from me, get out, get out, get out." He's going buck wild. He was interrupted. Now, we all adults here. If you can't handle it, come back tomorrow, God spares. You're about to climax, female or male, and somebody interrupts you. What happens? This is what this little boy was going through. But instead of it being talked about, he put it on social. Oh my God, he put it on social media.
Wow.
And I felt so bad for the kid. And most of the comments were people who felt like I did. Like, why are you promoting this opposed to helping him talk? The isolation of all of this. One of you mentioned pornography. That's what we have to try to prevent, because it does grow. It does grow. Sometimes it grows where it wears itself out, and you've done it all, and it's time to now partner up.
Mm-hmm.
And other times it grows into pornography. It grows into sexual abuse. Now you humping on your sister, your cousin, you're doing all of these things, or you out there raping people or molesting someone else. So we cannot not talk about this thing. It doesn't matter what we went through. It doesn't matter how my mother handled Stephanie. How am I handling Shanti, Shawnice, and Tamasia? What are their personalities like? Because Shanti, Shawnice, and Tamasia cannot have the same conversation. Trust me when I tell you.
Right.
You have 3 children, and they can't have the same conversation. Mm-hmm. Pastor KL has multiple children, and they can't have. So you're going to have to get real creative now. So what do? We go biblical, because regardless of what is going on in life, that Bible addresses everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That Bible addresses everything. And one of the things we need to discuss is isolation. Are you monitoring your children? Now, when everybody goes to bed, I'm asleep, you supposed to be asleep, I'm not thinking about it. But is that the time for us to talk about it? You're going to find your body doing different things, and here's, blah, blah, blah. Here's how you handle it, or, come talk to me, or whatever the situation is. However you decide to answer it, but you have to answer it currently. You got something to say, Pastor Kale? Pastor Kale, you trying to talk?
Okay. No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Because once you take off yourself off you unmute yourself, it goes into the echo for some reason. But that's what we need to talk about. We need to talk about the isolation. We need to talk about the fact that if we don't stop it, where it could go. The enemy is attacking our children. That is real. There's an attack on our children. So whatever we need to do to stop them from this masturbating, we need to definitely stop them, because we don't know how deep it's going. And they have phones, they have tablets, they have friends who are also talking about this thing. They have access to all kinds of things. Everything is, they've got, what was that? Author, the cartoon author, who the teacher was marrying another man.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
This is a cartoon. Why are we talking about that?
Mm-hmm.
There was a big debate when it came to, what's that, Frozen, because they wanted to make her gay. I'm not here to, right now I'm not discussing gay or straight. That's not my point. But what I'm saying is, it's sexual.
Mm-hmm.
You don't care about a person being gay or not in your workplace, because you here doing the same thing I'm doing. We're working. But when it comes to sexuality, yeah. So we have to talk about these things, because we don't know what access they have. We think our children ain't doing certain things. We're going to hope our children are not doing certain things, but we don't know what they're doing. When they're not in our company, when they're not in our presence, we have no idea what they're doing. I'm sure all these parents who have raised good people and now they're out here molesting and sexually abusing people, they would have never guessed that that's what would have happened, because they put their all into trying to ensure that their children did not come out like that. So, you know, we've got to, I'm hoping that this question sends you all to the Bible as to how to deal with your child, because it's real. This is some real stuff going on out here. So, you know, I didn't have it, but it was given to me to talk and open up this conversation as to how are we as Christians handling it. I can't tell a sinful person how to handle it. We were looking at something the other day, and the couple went to, the male is into church. So he goes to church and he takes her to church. And they got married on a whim, and now they're in some marital distress. So they're going through couples therapy. And they were in some dilemma. And when the therapist answered, Shantice and I just looked at each other. We were like, see, this is why you don't need to be going to no regular everyday counselor. Because the stuff that they tell you is okay, the Lord is saying different. So it's imperative that you take your child to Christian leadership. Amen. For Christian guidance, because in this world, anything goes. People have told, that's right, and Pastor Vinny, and people have counselors have told, or if you're having trouble in the bed, get a third person. Oh my God! Wow. What? Yeah, that's like, because that's what the world says is okay. Or they just need to get it out their system, and if you add a third person, you know, they'll get it out this. Oh, here we go. Here was the dilemma. He found her with a toy, and he was very upset about it, because his thinking was, why do you need a toy if I'm here? Well, didn't we just talk about the masturbation? Do you realize that could be part of the problem? If she was in the habit of satisfying herself in her head, she's saying, only I know how to please me. And he's saying, well, I'm your husband, which is why they got married, so that they can legally have sex. But do you see how that didn't answer the question? Exactly. That didn't solve the problem. That's why they got married. They wanted to have sex. He was going to church, and they were condemning them for having premarital sex. So they were looking at each other like, you want to get married? Do you want to get married? Why not get married? Well, we could have sex. Okay, then let's get married. And they got married. And now look at the dilemma. You in the bed with your husband that you got married for and with to have sex with, but yet you have a toy. These are things that people are going through. And it could have been where she was masturbating previously. She ain't pick up no toys since they've been married. They ain't new. Ain't no way in the world you gonna convince me that she didn't pick up a toy until after she got married. What is that? This was something that was going on, even as rare as it could have been. But now this is where they are. She's with a husband. And still, that's not good enough. You think that's what God wants, Pastor Vinny? I'll put it out there as we close. Is God okay with you satisfying yourself with a husband or a wife?
No, as you said, we come together as one. No more secrets. No more mine and yours. You know, we've come together to make a life together. We've come together to have a family. We've come together to speak, to have open, honest conversation. And that's really where the very basic of marriage is. Two people, different backgrounds, coming together. Not perfect, but learning how to talk and deal with issues that both of you are facing.
All righty. Pastor Brenda, as we're on our way out of here, is that what God wants for his people, for a married couple?
Well, you know, there's a saying that if you start wrong, you're going to end wrong. If they just got married to have sex, what are they basing their marriage on? And like you said, Pastor Steph, you know, she may have had this toy even before they got married. But the whole thing is communicate. If you're not satisfied, look, this ain't. Talk to your spouse and say, this is not hitting it for me right now.
Right,
you know,
right.
You know, what can we do to be mutually satisfied? Right. But don't just run off and, you know, go and set, because how do you think that makes the other person feel? Like they're not good enough. Absolutely. You know, and this whole thing about, you know, getting other people to join in or to be a part. No, that's not what God wants. No. The union is between one man and one woman. That's what you stood and he took vows for. Now, if you didn't have even premarital counseling, that's another flag. If the church was just condemning them, you know, it's better to marry than to burn. What about the other stuff you don't need to be thinking about?
Right.
And what happens, God forbid, that, you know, there's something that happens, you can't have sex anymore. What you gonna do then?
Right. Which is always a question. Right. You get older and somebody can't.
Right. Mm-hmm. Communication is key.
All righty. Pastor KL, how are we going out with you today? Well, is that what God wants for us?
Definitely that's not what God wants for us. Second, this is the first time you caught her. This ain't the first time she did it while y'all been married. This is just the first time she got caught. Mm-hmm. You know, and for her, she should have been praying for deliverance before she got married. Mm. You know, you don't bring this type of baggage to a marriage, and whether you want to believe it or not, this is a baggage. This is a bag full of stuff. You know that me as a husband, I might not have been able to deal with. So why would you push that on me to make me have to deal with it? You know what I mean? I love you for who you are, not so much all this extra stuff that you bring that I don't even know about. You didn't even give me the opportunity to have an option on whether I wanted to deal with it or not. You know what I mean? And if that was a problem, you should have came to me and we could have prayed together. You know what I mean? Because if we're coming together as one unit, there's certain things we need to pray off of us. There's certain things we need to pray out of us. You know, but the only way we can do that is if we come together. You know, one could put 1,000 in flight, two could put 10,000 in flight. So if you go by that premise, then if we come together as one, we can pray anything off of us. But if you're going to keep on continuing to do your stuff on the side while I'm trying to live holy, then it's just not going to work. You know, anything built on a lie is going to crumble.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, my Due Time crew. And we pray you have a blessed day. All righty. Let me catch some of these. If there's any comments, we have. Let's go back. Shati says, if you allow them to start and it snowballs into something they can't control, what do you do at that point? Shati said, I would have been mad too. I guess that's about, you know, if you caught your partner engaging in some level of masturbation. And Shati says, yes. Why was Mr. Rayburn marrying a man? Mm-hmm. And Shati says, I don't know what Serge meant when he says to understand it. I'm sorry, Serge. I'm not understanding that. Shati says, God isn't pleased with you satisfying yourself at all. There is no discipline in sin. If you do it when you're alone, you'll do it when you have a spouse. Mm-hmm. Well, what the response was from the counselor was, join her. Was it? Oh, no. It wasn't from the counselor. It was from the pastor. When he went back to the pastor of the church that he had been visiting, he mentioned that was a dilemma in their relationship. And he said, well, when you saw her, what did you do? So I got mad. And he says, why didn't you join her? Conceptually, I understand what he was saying. I don't think he worded it well. That's for Stephanie. That's for Stephanie. I guess maybe where he was going was try to get her to the point where you show that you can satisfy her. She doesn't have to be alone. But that dilemma takes us back to the question, what do we say to our children as Christians if we find them masturbating? Well, here's where we could end up.
No.
You could end up where even if you do have a partner, it's not good enough because you know how to satisfy you, which is kind of what she said, opposed to like one of the pastors said, teach her how to satisfy you. I think it was Pastor Brenda says, teach one another how to satisfy, each other. It's you and them, it's not you, them, and a machine, not you, them, and your hands, not you, them, and someone else that you're bringing into this marital bed, this marital relationship. Which was ordained by God just to be two people. You don't bring somebody into your marriage like that. That definitely a recipe for disaster. This is why we have to address things when children are young, because clearly we don't know how long it's been since this person. She could have just started this as an adult. I don't know. There was no backstory to that. But I like I said, I definitely believe that was not the first time that she had done it. Like Pastor KL said, I think Pastor Brenda said, this is the first time she got caught. This is the first time you're seeing it. And of course it would be devastating, especially if you supposedly got married for the sex, which they were having. So my question was, okay, so what were you doing, or how satisfied were you before you pushed to get married so that you could have sex? So already the equation is twisted. And again, like one of the pastors said, if there's no premarital, it was Pastor Brenda, if there's no premarital counseling, then you're already setting yourself up for a disaster, because good marital counseling addresses all of this stuff. A lot of times children are masturbating, or they have many people have come forward and said the reason why their sex drive was so high as an adult is because of some sexual abuse that took place by a parent, by a babysitter, by a friend of the family, by an uncle or an aunt. There's that story with Whitney Houston saying that Dionne Warwick's sister sexually abused her, which is why she was where she was, sexually. So this is one of the reasons why we also have to dialogue with our children, because you have people that are very close to them that are preying on them. And, when you find out 10 years later that this was going on, how do you feel? You feel horrible. You feel like, where was I? And where were the signs? And I saw this, but I didn't think anything of it, or I didn't pay attention to such and such a thing. And there's a lot of, you're going to beat yourself up about it. But if you open the door to these conversations, that may be a big way to prevent this sexual abuse, especially sexual abuse from someone who's close, where the people have said, I was afraid to say, I thought I had done something wrong. This stuff is real. And every day, when we look through the stories, children are being abused in many ways, not just sexually, but just period. So, and we're not talking about from the outside, as I keep saying, you can't even get them out their house. Poor things. Children are not even making it out of their homes. Everybody worrying about everybody on the outside. They warning everybody else. We telling the children, don't take candy from the people at the daycare. Don't take cupcakes from your teacher. But yet, what's happening in the home? So we as Christians we need to be on our A game. Be on your A game. How we feel like we can raise children in this world, the way it is now without God, is beyond me, because we need some assistance. Raising children has always been hard. You hear, even Pastor Vinny today when he was talking, mom was there by herself trying to hold it down with these kids. And she maneuvered the way she maneuvered. You have somebody with a single has one child. And sometimes it's just that hard for them. Other times people they take that one kid and they going on about their business. It's blissful. But we need help. And even that single parent who is whizzing around doing wonderfully, they need God. They need the village. And that village needs to have God as a nucleus. We cannot do this job by ourselves. I don't care how great we were parented, how our parents did it all right and they didn't do anything wrong, and whatever you did was your fault. We need God. Don't kid yourself into believing that you don't need God. And here's what I always advise. People always say, well, my grandparents, they had 60 years of marriage and they made it and and they were happy. And my mother and father, they just got finished celebrating 35 years. And, my kids, they didn't smoke or drink. Sprinkle a little Jesus on that thing. Enhance it. Because Christ said, I didn't come to give you life. I came to give you life more abundantly. That means that's mediocre. What we're giving our children without God is mediocre. But you want to give your child life more abundantly through Jesus. If you feel y'all traveling and they're in the best schools and you got the biggest house, and a little Jesus on that thing and watch how God will enhance what you have. There is no life without God. You're just existing, but you don't begin to live until Jesus is the nucleus of your life and you are fixing your eyes on Jesus. Because here's the thing, you can't fix your eyes on God without Jesus, because God has made it very clear. You can't come to me without coming through my son. So if we're trying to do this job on our own, I don't care how great it looks, once you add Jesus to it, it's going to be that much better. Your marriage is without God, sprinkle a little Jesus on that thing, and it will be enhanced much past even your very imagination. So I encourage you today, stop leaving God and Jesus out of your life. If you want the best, then go to the best. If you want top, you got to go to the top. There is no way you are going to access everything until you give your life and your children to God. Then you'll know what great is. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. Let me give you an opportunity to tap into prayer 911 Daytona. Every week, I mean to ask Pastor Brendan, Pastor Vinny to talk about this. They have a dynamic prayer ministry. Oh my goodness, I enjoy listening to them so much. They dialogue with those who call in. They dialogue with one another. It is an amazing experience. So if you have Facebook, go to Brenda Stokes. You can find it, or Vincent Stokes, and you can find it, because prayer does actually change things. And you can even ask for a prayer. Ask them to pray for you. You see them here. At least one of them are represented each week on Tuesdays. You know what? They're on at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Please make sure you tune in. It's 1 hour. And even if you're not included in the prayer where they're calling your name, just being in that atmosphere, just turning off everything, turn the TV off. Just even sometimes I'm just walking around listening because I have things that I can't put down. But I take a portion of that time. They're from 7 to 8 p.m. I take a portion of time and I literally sit down so that I can focus and I can pray with them. I am in the presence of God with them. So listen, they're on, I can't think of it, it's Joy 103 FM. I could have that wrong, but I promise you, if you go to their Facebook pages, they definitely post each week when they're on. Okay, so don't miss it. Please do not miss this opportunity to give your life to Christ right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Until tomorrow. Wait, before you go. My 2 cents is doing their rapid fire. We're doing rapid fire again tomorrow night. We're going to be off our Thursday for this week, but we're doing rapid fire. And that's when we take any show, sitcom, movie from the 90s or the early 2000s, ethnic only. I know there's some other movies, but ethnic only. And we are asking questions. And last time we did have a winner. They answered most of the questions. So if you think you know that movie, that show, that sitcom, that series, whatever it was, bring it to us. And we will give you a succession of questions, and you've got to answer them as quickly as you can. It was so much fun. We had a wonderful time. You can find it right here on this channel, A Closer Walk Christian Media Network, where there's Shantice, myself, and Brother Ainsley. You see him on Fridays. You don't want to miss it. So tomorrow night, God spares, at 7:30, we'll be doing that. Listen, if you got one show that you love, hit us up. Shantice, make sure that number goes into the chat room. You can hit me up on Facebook. Make sure you connect. You can let us know. I think it's Shantice Brand. You can hit her up as well. And we are looking forward to just having a good time, and Christians can have a good time. So until tomorrow, God spares. I love you.